So you might have seen it come across your wire, this idea to ban the import and export of wildlife trade. It might have come across your social media feed, and some of you probably did something about it. Others of you probably ignored it. Unfortunately, I don't know why it is, but we as hunters tend to ignore things, and that doesn't pertain to me, and that's never going to happen to me. Well, unfortunately, all of these things, especially this petition, has major ramifications for all hunters, regardless of what you do and how you hunt. So who's behind it? Two big anti-hunting entities, the Center of Biological Diversity and the Natural Resource Defense Council. The Center for Biological Diversity has about 1.3 million members, and they also like to say online activists. And the Natural Resource Defense Council has about 3 million members. So combined, there's probably a bunch of overlap, about 3 million people. That's way bigger than any hunting organization out there currently. So if you take CBD and the NRDC plus PETA plus the Humane Society, that's almost like the box that is against hunting here in the US and essentially globally. So what do they want? They want to ban the import and export of all wild mammals and birds. They want to institute a chain of custody and tracing system for all imports and exports of all wildlife and plants. So that doesn't sound like they are going after hunters specifically and the wildlife that hunters import and export. And yes, that's true. They're going after the pet trade. And they're tying the pet trade that the US essentially has 20% of all pet trade imports and exports on the entire globe, and then tying it to COVID and showing that how the import and export and the movement and the trade of all this wildlife and birds leads to the potential zoonotic disease spread, and essentially using COVID as this way to petition DOI and US Fish and Wildlife Service to put this ban in place. So when you scratch the surface, at its surface, this ban seems very innocuous. Okay, but the devil is in the details. You see, the ban is being placed on the idea that the trade and import and export of wildlife is injurious to people. The way that they're going to attack this in is through the Lacey Act. You see, in the ban, in the language of the ban, they use the term wild specifically, because in the Lacey Act, they define wild as any creature raised in the wild or in captivity that normally would be quote-unquote wild as wild, i.e. pretty much everything that is traded. So what this means globally is that any transport of wildlife, whether live or dead, will essentially be regulated now. I don't know how they'll pay for it. The economic resources and the amount of money needed to do something like this is almost mind-boggling. You're saying to me, but Robbie, this sounds like live animals, the pet trade, this is all live animals. But you see, again, the devil's in the details. And buried in their synopsis of why they want this to move forward is that, yes, generally live animals pose the greatest risk, but they also mention that dead animals and the parts thereof also pose a risk to society. It doesn't just hit hunters, ranchers, farming for wildlife. All of that falls under this now umbrella. So what can we do? Well, we can fight fire with fire. Ducks Unlimited have put out a petition of their own. And a petition saying, no, we are opposing that. Why? Because we have things like the North American wildlife model. We have things called wildlife management. We have things that show that regulated hunting is important for wildlife conservation here in the United States. But here's the sad thing. The Ducks Unlimited petition has only 13,900 signatures when I looked at it this morning. 13,000. Not 130,000. Not 1 million. That's what the Centers of Biological Diversity and the Natural Resource Defense Council are getting in terms of numbers on their petition. Why don't we have more? We have 11 million hunters here in the US. It's time for us to get all on the same team. Doesn't matter if you're a duck hunter, a pheasant hunter, a trad bow hunter, someone who hunts high fence, or someone who hunts free range, someone who is a long range hunter, someone who's a tree stand whitetail hunter. We are all hunters and we are all on the same team, and we better start getting on the same team very, very quickly, because these big anti-hunting organizations are starting to eat us alive. Well, honestly, the infighting between all of us is doing their job for them, unfortunately. So let's get on the same team. Whatever prejudices you have against different sectors of the hunting community, leave that at the front door and come in and let's all do this together. Let's band together and let's fight these huge things that are against our lifestyle. All of our hunting lifestyles, regardless of how you hunt. That's what we need to do. So reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. We want to do as much as we possibly can with the small voice that we have. We don't have a voice like the Center of Biological Diversity. We don't have a voice like Peter. But hopefully one day we will. And it's a voice to protect you and protect hunting and protect this heritage that we love so much.